podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.
Welcome to No Question About That. Today with Dominic talking about Real Sociedad 1, Manchester United 1 in the Europa League. Dominic, how are you doing?
Yeah, good. Thrilled to be making my post-game pod debut. Not so thrilled about that game.
Post-game pod debut. Yeah, I hadn't thought about it like that. I suppose that's correct.
This is for the hardcore, isn't it, that listen to these? So, you know.
That's it. You too can get abuse off the masses.
I look forward to it.
All right, let's get into it. Well, it's a bit of a weird game in one sense, because I felt watching that quite a few of Amorim's principles were at play, and you're seeing what they tried to do. They didn't make any really big strategic defensive errors, which is what happens quite a lot. A little bit wasteful up front, but generally in control. And this is Manchester United in 2025, so somehow we conspire to not win a game against what looks like a pretty average Sociedad side. What are your initial reactions?
Yeah, it's like a game of before the incident and after the incident. And before the incident, which is obviously the penalty and the Sociedad goal, I thought United were decent. It was pretty obvious that Real Sociedad are not very good. And United were allowed to control the game without controlling too much of the ball. But United did control the game, and Bruno was bossing it basically. And that meant that United had the better chances. You know, they had nothing for a long, long time. Real Sociedad created absolutely nothing, and no one had nothing to do. And then it just all changed. And it's this team's inability to react to adversity, which we've seen in multiple European games. I think of the ones under Ten Hag last season. Less this year, but still occasionally. I think that 20 game at the start of the Europa League campaign. Once United have been pegged back, this current iteration of United have been pegged back, they just go to pot. It's just like heads go, mentality goes. And like you say, those basic principles of shape and formation and defending, and that all goes as well. I mean, in the last 10, 15 minutes, United could have lost that. And it would have been a travesty, really, because Sociedad just didn't do anything for the 70 minutes or however long it was.
Barely at all. And their best players didn't really show. Cuba on the right has had a decent season. Oyarzabal has obviously caused us problems in the past. There wasn't a lot from them. They were missing Zubimendi. It's a kind of, he makes them tick in midfield. Perhaps that was a miss. I don't know how important a miss it was, given that they look like a side that's mid-table La Liga quality. But then you have United, and there's just some moments where you're like, okay, this looks good. Casemiro had a decent game in midfield. He's kind of been tragicomic when he's played this season, hasn't he? I mean, I think of the Newcastle game, just how horrendously bad that was, but he did most stuff right today. Up front, they switched the sides around, or Amorim did. Xerxes played off the left, Garnacho on the right. Seemed to suit both of them in a sense. I mean, Garnacho obviously extremely wasteful tonight. I think he had 5 shots and they were all wide. So,
yeah, they're all bad. They're all bad.
Yeah.
But he did create the best moment of the game.
Yeah.
And he just always does create stuff. I know people get on top of him for his finishing, but there are other players in the team looking at you, Rasmus, whose finishing isn't even getting finishes off. He isn't even getting chances.
No.
At least Garnacho is creating chances for himself. Okay, he isn't finishing them. He's creating chances for himself and other people. Højlund's doing none of those two things.
Yeah.
Højlund and Dalot tonight, I mean,
oh man,
just absolutely disastrous. Just so bad.
I don't know where Højlund's getting a goal from, because he's not taking shots. I spoke on the last pod, 1.47 shots on average this season. That puts him in the bottom percentile amongst the top 5 Euro leagues for forwards in terms of shots, right? It's as bad as it gets. I like bottom percent. I don't know where he is in the absolute ranking. He's probably like 567th or something amongst forwards. He just doesn't shoot. And if you don't shoot, you don't score. I know it's really sounds like a Lanassis that does, doesn't it? But he's just never going to score. When he got the ball, he just seemed completely bereft of any understanding of what to do with it. But his best moment came when he didn't have the ball, which is he made the run across the defender, taking a defender away to the front post. He's there. He's free. Dalot has put a simple ball across the box and it's a goal for United. Surely, what does Diego... I mean, it's just... I'm like... I was like, what was Diallo doing there? I didn't just play it first time. Looked at Twitter and there's 500 comments from United fans that are basically exactly the same. Yeah.
Yeah.
And his football IQ was just removed from his brain and thrown away. I mean, that was probably when he was... Yeah,
it's rarely there, though, is it, with Dalot?
Rarely there.
And it's the things that he does... When you go to games, he does this thing where he trots around the pitch and he bangs his chest and he G's up the crowd. And it's like, no, you've got to be good first. And I know that, again, is quite reductive and Roy Keane might have said something like that. But no, you can't be like that when you're playing as you are. We're 14th in the league. You're dropping a disaster class every single week and then you're doing that. And his decision-making tonight, it's the fact that he always starts a game as well. He is one of the first names on the team sheet. He never comes off. He plays every single minute. That is illustrative of United's decline in itself. And tonight, his decision-making and Højlund's decision-making really, I felt, set the team back, those two. Because like you say, other people had decent games. Dorgu was up and down. I don't think it was his best game, but I don't think he was bad.
Passing's not awesome, is it?
No, sometimes, he gets it wrong. But again, you sort of like his willingness.
Yeah.
Again, with Xerxes, massive limitations, but he's trying to do the right thing. He's trying to get on the ball. He's trying to show for it. And obviously, he popped up with a good goal. But yeah, those two, I think, are worries. And given the injury situation, you don't see how they're not going to play. They're going to have to play.
Well, they're going to have to. Yeah. In fact, Dalot will be back over at left wing back on Sunday against Arsenal, I imagine. Patrick Dorgu suspended. Yeah. I liked quite a bit of what I saw from Josh Zirkzee tonight. He's good on the ball. He does good things with the ball. He's obviously a fairly intelligent player. And the football IQ thing, again, his physicality will be the thing that I imagine means he is never a top player for United in the Premier League. I just don't see how he moves and does things quick enough for him to be that. I could be totally wrong, prepared to be wrong, would like to be wrong, hope he becomes a brilliant player for United. I'd be really surprised. But he was on the end of a good move tonight, right? United shifted the ball around well. It was a good pass from Garnacho. Apart from his finishing, his decision-making in the final third is the thing that also frustrates fans, rightly so, I think. And Xerxes hit it clean. I mean, generously, you would say either the movement on the ball or Xerxes' sort of early strikers confused the keeper. I kind of think it's Ramiro. He's done an Onana there and basically stepped to the wrong side and then can't get to the ball. Look how many goals Onana concedes like that are way too close to him. Steps the wrong way and then can't get back for it. It looked almost exactly the same.
I was going to say, if Onana did that, how many United fans...
Oh, we'd be totally on him. I mean, it's literally in the centre of the goal, that shot. It's right down the middle. You don't
see goals go in that part of the goal, do you? And I think Robbie Savage on the coverage in the UK was like, it's a good finish. And then you kind of see the replay and you see what Ramiro has done. You see that Xerxes hasn't actually hit it that well. But yeah, it was a nice move. And United did put some of those together, some really good moves. I mean, how they didn't score in the first half with Bruno's shot being saved and Bruno and Xerxes' shots being blocked, that felt like it could have been a huge miss given how little United create to miss those two chances. And like you say, Garnacho had a flurry of them and you just thought, this is going to come back and bite us. And obviously it did because cursed FC and all that, but in a different way.
Yeah. I mean, it didn't create loads and loads of chances, but created enough. Away European game, knockout stages against Spanish side. I mean, our record there is absolutely horrendous. I mean, English team's record against Spanish sides not so hot, but there's not too many victories for United there. So in that context, not so bad. Create some chances, kept it really tight. You can see the system that Amorim is trying to teach them and some of the principles. So there's like the genesis of some stuff there, but it's just generally just not, there's not enough there. I mean, I guess if this was last season's Sociedad side, finished sixth in La Liga, we'd be saying, yeah, pretty good result, but they've gone backwards quite a bit this year. As have we, of course.
I mean, we out XG'd them if you take the penalty out. I know that is a big stat in itself for the penalty, but pretty much 1 XG, so he is probably par for the course in terms of the finishing, which is an improvement on recent displays anyway, because they've been underperforming the finishing stats for pretty much the whole of the Amorim era, haven't we?
Indeed.
I think if Erik ten Hag was still United manager, we would be hearing a lot more about the players out injured. I mean, the bench tonight was incredible. I mean, 2 youth goalkeepers and 3 or 4 first teamers.
Just 5 outfielders on the bench. Didn't have a full bench again.
Just mad.
And mad.
The players, you talk about Zubimendi being missing for Real Sociedad, but put Ugarte, Ahmad, even Maguire, Martinez, Luke Shaw, Mason Mount. It is legitimate to say, put those back in and United would be a better team. They definitely would. But Amorim, to his credit, isn't making that excuse. And I think it's because he knows how much of a rebuild there is to be done. And it doesn't really help anyone if he just moans about injuries. Because, again, he knows as well that United fans have heard those excuses. And yeah, I guess it's a slight tactic as well with the owners to make sure he gets some backing as well in the summer.
Yeah. I don't know what to put it down to. Under the Ten Hag era, there was a lot of commentary about the intensity of training plus the particular chaos ball style seemed to rack up these injuries. Plus, Ten Hag was very reluctant to rotate and make changes. I don't know what to put this down to, because for the first 20 games of Amorim's time at United, there were hardly any injuries. It's all cleared up. And all of a sudden, we've got them all back again. I mean, I don't know. It's bad luck. Looks like Ahmad was just horrendous luck in training, right? Mason Mount, okay, fine, perma injured, as is Luke Shaw. Harry Maguire doesn't sound like he's out for a long time. And although we'll see, I guess. I don't know whether we've seen an assessment on what that looks like. So, I don't know whether to put the finger on Amorim and the training system. They changed out the whole medical team as well in the summer, got a new head of medical and brought in new people. So I'm not sure we can use it as an excuse or whether it's just bad luck.
I think the medical thing is a legitimate argument. Yeah, who are we to question elite physios and medical staff at football clubs? But there is a trend and it's not a good one. But I think all things considered, you have to sort of take a step back and think that there actually are some baby steps here, though, in terms of United's performances. And I know Sociedad are not good, Real Sociedad are not good. Fulham didn't play well at the weekend. Ipswich are a bad team. Everton are not a great team. But United have done okay in patches of those games and have got results in most of those games. So 4 defeats in 14, I think. 4 defeats in 15 in 90 minutes. So these are sort of lowering of the standards. I understand it is a massive lowering of the standards to take any positives from that, and I'll probably get hammered in the comments to do so. But you have to, because why are we watching? Why are we following this football team who are being continually useless?
Don't we ask ourselves that question all of the time?
You have to take some positives from it, otherwise you think you just drive yourself insane.
Yeah, look, the record isn't actually too bad in terms of, like, as you said, number of defeats. There's some stupid draws in there. We haven't played a lot of quality recently, and where we do, we lose. I mean, we're going back to Liverpool, Arsenal, City, that clutch of games, aren't we, where the draw at Liverpool, the victory at City, and the penalty shootout win over Arsenal, that felt good for a short period of time. Backs against the wall, defensively solid, box defending, all of that. And we don't seem to be able to put it all together under Amorim yet, where we're completing the sequences of passing moves that look very Amorim-like. The cut back to the shot. Today's goal had some flavour of it, for sure. And all the sensible defending. And for the most part today, actually, put quite a few of these pieces together without actually completing it all of the time. I don't know whether that's the genesis of something good or not. I mean, maybe we'll come back on Sunday after we've been spanked by Arsenal and it'll be all doom and gloom again.
You don't expect much of that Arsenal game at all, but I do think that some of the defenders are putting in more promising performances, in particular Yoro.
Yeah, it was good today.
Seems to be Mr. Consistent at the moment, and the player that United thought they were getting, and he's so young, and you just think his ceiling is so high in terms of what he could achieve. He's got pace already. He seems to read the game well. I mean, I think he had an absolute shocker. I think it was against Southampton, weirdly, in that game when United were trailing for a bit.
They doubled up on him.
Yeah, he got completely done by Sulemana a few times.
Yeah.
But I think he's recovered really well since then, and he basically has to, again, play every week, even though he's young, even though he probably should be on the fringes. He's a really important player at the moment, and I quite like that back three with Mazraoui on the left side of the three as well, and De Ligt in the middle. De Ligt plays much better in the middle.
Much better. Yeah,
people like Maguire, and there's this little Maguire fan club who I always think these days is a little bit patronising when it's like, oh, we're sorry for abusing you, well played, pat on the back. But we know what Maguire offers and we know what he doesn't, and I think De Ligt is a slight upgrade, and you have to play one in the three. You can't play two in the three. I just don't like it.
I don't like the balance either. Yeah. Danish, who's on the tactics pod, is pretty convinced that Maguire should play in one of the wide defensive positions just for his sort of line-breaking passing. I mean, there's that, I guess. I don't like him in those channel areas, though. I think he's too easily turned, and that's the trade-off there. De Ligt has similar problems. His passing's maybe not as good, but maybe doesn't get exposed quite as often. Hard to say. I'd much prefer him in the centre. I would, personally, not being a qualified coach and all of that, like just caveat it, would only play one of them to get a better balance back three. There's not been many options recently, and I guess Amorim is slowly integrating Yoro to become a starting player. The balance of the three tonight is the right kind of balance. I mean, I guess
it's two footballers and it's one big lad. That's the balance.
Yeah, I think that's about right. Unfortunately, we'll go back to something different at the weekend, I imagine. We'll see whether he feels like playing those three again, but I imagine Mazraoui will end up being at right wing back at the weekend with Dalot on the left, and so they'll change up that back three again, and it'll look a bit different depending on the injury situation, all of that.
Yeah, it could be a Lindelof star, couldn't it?
I know, I was just going to mention him. I looked him up because Lindelof comes on. I'm like, bloody hell, we're still in a world where Victor Lindelof is still a Manchester United player. He won't be for much longer. He'll leave in the summer, surely. He's out of contract. 271st game for United tonight over 8 seasons. And I was trying to think to myself, is there a standout game? Is there a game that you're like, yeah, that was the Victor Lindelof game where he was absolutely brilliant?
There's not even a standout moment.
I just can't. Yeah, I can't think of one at all. It's classic Wilderness Years United, though. We've got these players who played 200, 300, 400 games for United, and they're like, how is it possible a player who's been shit for 8 years for United is still a United player? It's amazing. We've been in this situation. Apparently, I mean, so go the reports that we are willing to give players 2 years before trying to move them on. That's Barada's philosophy. 2 years, if you haven't made it by then, cut your losses, move on. We'll see whether that's the truth this summer, won't we? There's a few players that have been here 2 years who've perhaps we might want to in there.
So that's Ten Hag signings, basically.
All of them.
Carte blanche to get rid of the Dutch and Ajax mob that came in a couple of years ago, basically, which no one would complain about because most of them, Martinez maybe being the exception, most of them have been bad. So
yeah, and even Martinez, you want to question whether he'll another serious injury for Lisandro Martinez. Can he be the same player again? It's a legitimate question, and one we won't find out about until next season, I guess, assuming he's here. What we didn't get tonight was a heavy defeat where we go, hey, there's no chance. Because if United lost 2 or 3-0 tonight, given our home record and our inability to score goals, we'd be going, that's our season done. And It's easy to be hyperbolic, and I'm trying not to be hyperbolic, but it's basically each one of these Europa League games is a £100 million game. I know it's a long way from here, round of 16 through to winning the competition, but that's our only route into European football. That means 2 players. It means not selling a star player. I mean, I know there aren't many of them, but might be in a situation where you're like, yeah, we'll cash in on Garnacho or Kobe Manu or one of the ones that's got a high sale value. It means it could mean not a third round of job losses at the club, not more borrowing, and so on and so on and so on. It's just, you want to think about the project from here, the development of the club, our return, it like all paths lead to European football. We need it.
That saying that every game now is a £100 million game is like a sort of besieged manager saying that the last 19 games of the league season are all cup finals or something.
No, I know it's ridiculous. I know.
Football cliches tweeting that one out if you put that on Twitter or somewhere.
Someone clip it up and send it to Adam quick.
Send it to Adam Murray right now. Yeah, it is true. But more than that, it's just giving a semblance of hope and continuing to have a semblance of hope this season. And I did think that as soon as the Xerxes goal went in, I just thought, phew, like, we're in this. The second leg is going to mean something. At that point, I didn't see Sociedad scoring 2, but they could have easily done so. I thought, at worst, this is going to be a 1-1 draw. Obviously, that did happen because it has to happen. But it's the fact that United can take Sociedad back now to Old Trafford, and the way that they played tonight for 70 minutes, like I say, they were buoyed a bit by the crowd doing the Poznan, a big decision going in their favour, some loose United passing in the last 20 minutes. But other than that, they were not good, and United should beat them at Old Trafford. Like, let's be clear. If United don't beat them at Old Trafford, and they've got 120 minutes to do so before Onana dives past 5 penalties, United should be doing it. And it's a big night at Old Trafford. And like you say, £100 million or not, that is a big night at Old Trafford this season in the context of everything. There's been some really dour, pointless, horrible nights at Old Trafford this season. I've been at a few of them. I can see this one being ramped up a little bit, and United have to turn up in it. There is no choice. There's no alternative.
Father, or should I call you Steve? Since it's a new year, maybe we should start cooking fresh with fewer smoke alarms this time. Your cooking's improving, but I can see the stress in your eyes. Anna's mom used this Blue Apron assemble and bake thing during our playdate. Pre-chopped ingredients, over 40 grams of protein, and just 1 pan to clean up. She just tossed it in the oven and boom, plating like she's got followers. So go to blueapron.com, Steve. Make 2026 the year you win dinner. Blue Apron. Get $50 off your first 2 orders plus free shipping with code STIR50. Terms and conditions apply. Visit blueapron.com/terms for more.
Yeah, absolutely. Massive game this season, next season. I mean, you're right about that, just continuing the hope. I would just think if we'd lost heavily tonight, if it'd gone wrong, or even if we go out of the Europa next week, there's just nothing to play for the rest of the season. Nothing can. We're not going anywhere. I mean, I guess points means places. Places means 3 million and £3.5 million a place and all of that. And you can do the kind of football finance analysis. But in terms of meaning, there'd just be nothing riding on anything. And here there is something riding on it because we have that important game, big game on Sunday, obviously, but you just want them to mean something and for us not to just give up on football this season. I mean, we've seen with this group of players, they're happy enough to give up, right? If it's not going right.
Well, that was what happened tonight. And we're going to talk about the penalty, I guess, because whatever you think about the penalty decision, and I was angry about it at the time and watching it, and my wife was trying to ask, should it be a penalty? She didn't think it should have been. She thought it was silly. And that is the right way of looking at it from a slight outsider to football. You just think, well, he's not tried to bat the ball away with his hand there. It's just it's just one of those things. But it is a penalty by the letter of the law. That's the frustrating thing. We were saying it before we came on air, weren't we? It was just the way that United reacted to that. And like you say, anything goes wrong. And Bruno does this little complaining thing, and fine, do that in the moment, but shake it off. The good teams will go, never mind, we're better than this lot. Let's get that control back of the game. Let's get into our shape. Let's pass the ball around like we were doing before. And it just never happened again. And it just felt like 20 minutes of United trying to lose it or find ways to lose it. And that's the most frustrating part about watching this team, because that just keeps happening.
Yeah, that's right. Fragile mentality is a trait and has been a trait of this squad for a long time, and doesn't seem to matter who we bring in. They seem to bring that along with them. On the actual penalty, I mean, I guess that's a natural position. Hand is above the shoulder. It does look like the attacker, the Real Sociedad player, heads it onto his hand, which I do think it's really hard to tell. I haven't seen enough replays afterwards. I could be totally wrong about that one. But if that's the case, it's a slightly different calculation, because at that point you're like, okay, well, could he have moved out of the way? I mean, they don't use the term natural. I think it's silhouette they use now rather than natural position. And they, in the UEFA handbook or the IFAB handbook, they show the positions of the arms and what is a handball and what is not a handball.
But do they show like a million different positions? How many different positions can you put your arm in?
Yeah, it's like the Kama Sutra, right? It's
just...
Everything. No, they don't. It's quite simple graphics, but it's there to kind of guide you as to what. And basically, the arm above the shoulder, I think he's going to be given it at any time. It's just a bit like, I know that's the rule, so fair enough, but to get an 80% chance of scoring with what was effectively a 0% chance of scoring just doesn't seem fair. And for the vast majority, and I don't have the data to back this up, but I think for the vast majority of penalties that are given, you are not going to get an 80% chance of scoring. In fact, if you are through one-on-one and goal with the keeper, that is a less than 80% chance of scoring, right? So you basically have to be on the line to have an 80% chance of scoring in football. And well, maybe slightly more.
No, I've always thought there should be some sort of secondary penalty. I don't know, indirect free kicks never really worked, have they? But some sort of punishment for things like that isn't a penalty. I mean, that just sounds mad, but why not? You know, why can't football come up with these things? There seems to be a grey area between things that, like tripping someone up when they're one-on-one or a handball on the line. Yeah, clear penalty, 80% chance of scoring a goal. Absolutely fine. But there's just a million other shades of grey now, and especially with the handball law the way it is. And
well,
we know
handball law plus VAR, because those things together, like not a single Sociedad player like even appealed for a penalty, right?
No, I didn't even know what had gone on when the referee went out. There's a referee suddenly going over to the monitor, and then you think, well, this is definitely a penalty, and I don't even know what it's for. But the referee is going over to the monitor, so it's always a penalty.
Almost always, yeah, because VAR searched through it forensically to find a single moment. Now, I think that's the frustrating thing. I mean, it sounds rather conspiratorial, and that's not really what's happening here. But VAR plus the way the handball law is written means you get a lot of penalties like that, which feel kind of unfair. I mean, we got one years ago. Remember at Paris, it kind of brushed the pinky finger. You had to go down you had to go down to the atomic level to try and work out whether it actually touched his hand, but we won a European game as a result. So, by the way,
I didn't even watch that game because we were so far behind in the first leg. It was 3-1 in the first leg? I just thought we had no chance. We were rubbish at the time. I opted to play five-a-side. I'd just consigned that game to the waste paper basket, and then heard that we were one goal away basically. And I was walking back from five-a-side in Cardiff down the main road, had it on my phone, and then that happened, and I'm basically like stood nearly getting run over trying to cross this main road while checking VAR to see if Dalot's shots hit Kimpembe's arm.
Yeah,
obviously no one else cares because it's Cardiff. No one cares about football. No one cares about United there. And then I do a little jig in the middle of the crossing. So yeah, brilliant moment.
Great moment. Yeah, brilliant moment. But on these things do games turn. And it reminded me in the game we played against Real Sociedad last time, 4 years ago? I mean, we beat them away in Turin. Didn't they beat us at Old Trafford? I always get these muddled up because we played them a couple of
I think it was 0-0 at Old Trafford.
0-0. Didn't they get a weird penalty, though, with Lisandro Martinez at some point against us? Like it hit his
Yeah, there's
arm
another
down
game
by
where we
his
did
side.
lose to them 1-0.
Yeah. I think that's the one where the penalty was given against Lisandro Martinez, where his arm's sort of down by his side, and we're all going like, what?
Well, it does seem to be refereed differently in Europe. That's why you get more instances of this in Champions League and Europa League.
Yeah.
Just that their interpretation of the law is different. I mean, I really like the way that Premier League has actually gone about handball this year, and no one's really noticed. But that's because they've let nearly everything go, unless it's completely blatant, and that won't get any praise because you can't praise referees. It's just too unfashionable to do so.
I do think this is funny on a general level, though, kind of meta level. You have IFAB who create the laws and guidance, and then every single association and competition creates their own guidance. And so you have effectively different laws in each country, even though there's the same set of laws. Because even if you call it interpretation, you get different outcomes. It's very odd. We should have consistency. We shouldn't be going, they referee this differently in Europe. Like,
what other
why?
sport would do that?
It's mad. It's odd.
It would
Very
never
odd.
happen in cricket or rugby or anything, would it?
No. If you run the 100 meters in Rome, you're allowed to take performance-enhancing drugs, but if you do it in London, you're not.
Yeah, that's the problem with football, and that's why there's so many detractors for VAR and so many people who want it ousted from the game, because you cannot police it in a black and white way. It isn't a black and white sport unless if you just reduce it to offside and goal line technology, people would still complain, and they are the actual black and white things. That's how mad it is, and how people can look at it with whatever tinted spectacles they want. It's just, there's just too much to pull, to pick apart, basically.
I mean, on balance, I do not like what VAR has brought to the game. I mean, partly because of penalties like tonight, but the delays and slow down, and the fact you can't celebrate a goal without having to go have a look at it. The confusion tonight about they've played another minute, and then they're like, oh yeah, we've dug through the footage, went all the way back to 1961, and we found a potential penalty. Let's give it. It's like, I don't like that. Then again, it did stop United losing to Everton because Ashley Young dived at the weekend.
Yeah. You do have to remember, and it is hard as a fan, you have to remember when decisions go for and against you. And in the moment, you forget all the decisions that have ever gone for you, and the red mist descends. And it certainly did when I was watching that tonight. Even though I knew by the letter of the law it was a penalty, you still think that's just a huge slice of misfortune that's gone against us.
Of course, if we want to go all the way back, we can go Chelsea winning the league, Didier Drogba, like more offside than any person has ever been offside and scored a goal. And then 2004, Paul Scholes, perfectly fine goal, ruled out. Would have had no Jose Need slide. Maybe he wouldn't have ended up at Chelsea. Yada, 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 yada.
I always go back to Sol Campbell, Euro 2004, was it, against Portugal?
Oh, yeah, nothing wrong with that header.
Yeah.
Just nothing wrong at all. He's a
He had another one in 98, was it, as well, didn't he, Campbell? Had two major goals of tournaments ruled out. Really erroneously, yeah.
Yeah, well, I guess there's the goal England scored against Germany in South Africa.
That wouldn't have made any difference, would it? Because I think Germany were. Yeah. But anyway, let's really litigate every bad decision a referee's ever made in the history of football. Anyway, very odd. It's better than talking about this United team and their various failings, because you could genuinely be here all night, and you've talked about them with other people on the pod before, and I've listened to them, and I've talked about it with whoever I'm up to supporting friends. But there's just so much. It's almost like, well, game by game, you have to take it game by game, because if you were really picking over the problems of this team and this system and the decision making and the inability to control games and react to events and the injuries, and you would never stop. So,
well, I do 2 or 3 pods a week, plus the extra one for backers. NQAT pod.
Still things you don't talk about, I bet.
Yeah, patreon.com/NQAT pod if you want to back the show. And there's an extra show, and the Taxes pod, which we've now made for everybody. Just juggled things around a little bit because we like the content there. So yeah, I'm doing 5 or 6 a week of talking about how crap United are, and believe me, since I had to edit these as well, I'm sick of talking about it and listening to it and my own fucking voice.
No, you love
There you
it.
go. I should just
You
quit.
must like it. You must like it. That's the thing. What do we think that he's going to do for the second leg of this? Because I really think that Rasmus Højlund needs to spell out of the team.
Yeah.
But
what are the
options? It
options?
can't happen. Yeah, it can't happen because, well, because United didn't register Chido for the Europa League, another fine mess from the club, because they didn't consider him to be a first-team player at the time of naming the squad, basically.
That's it.
Even though he was still banging in goals for the youth team at that point, and there was precious few other forward options.
I'm kind of sympathetic to the argument that they saw him as a youth team in this season, and so on and so on. And that would be
there's
true.
no upper limit, is there, for the B list in Europa League?
He couldn't be on the B list because he's not played for long enough.
Oh, sorry, yeah, that is true.
Yeah,
that is true.
But I think the mistake is going, who are our forwards, right? Because I think for a little while we were thinking of Joshua Zirkzee as a forward. He's clearly not a forward, right? And so when we registered this squad, given that Marcus Rashford's gone out on loan to Aston Villa, the only forward we had in the squad was Rasmus Højlund, and he can't score goals, right? So that's the mistake, basically, going, we've only got one forward and not thinking about what could happen. Loss of form. What if he gets injured? What are you going to do then? Yeah, it's all very odd. Bad mistake. But yeah, what's he going to do for the second leg? Well, he can't. I mean, he may be limited in his options, of course, because of the lengthy injury list and so on. I don't think we picked up any suspensions tonight. Were they reset after the group stage? I feel like there were. I did see someone commenting on
only Bruno
Twitter
was booked, wasn't he?
Bruno was booked, but I feel like bookings are reset. And so
no one else got booked.
Yeah, so no suspensions. Like, we'll see when we come to it whether any fresh injuries. But clearly having at least Patrick Dorgu in the side gives us much better balance. For all his limitations, we talked about, like, as he was coming in, like, with our limited knowledge of him as a player, I think a lot of that's played out. Physical, gives balance to United side, lots of qualities, quite sloppy. He's young.
Well, that's okay in a way.
That's
because,
okay,
he is young. I think he can improve. I think I really like his physicality and just his attitude seems right. You know, you watch him and you just think he's trying the right things. He's making the runs. He makes mistakes because he's 20 and he's had 1.5 seasons of senior football at Lecce before this. So perfectly fine that he does that. And I think fans have got a lot of patience with him. I also think I'd like to see more of Collier because I think for the same reasons, he's trying the right things and he's running around and there's other players who aren't. And even Collier tonight when he came on,
making
controlled the ball, made a run, controlled it, passed it on. And other people aren't doing that. I don't want to keep singing out Rasmus Højlund, but I think he just has to sit out a few games. If Amorim can possibly find someone else to come in, Obi in the league. I was kind of hoping that Zirkzee might play as a bit of a false nine tonight with maybe Bruno pushed up and Garnacho as the 3. But then there's no Agate, and so you kind of have to play Bruno in the deeper positions, don't you? Unless you're going to play Eriksen and Casemiro. That's gone very wrong in the past. I get it. I get there's the squad limitations and the injuries, but please just take Rasmus out for a couple of weeks for his own good. I think he would come back better and refreshed if he did it. I'd also like to see Dalot taken out for a little bit, but again, it just probably isn't going to happen because
I don't know what the options are. I mean, you could if you were, because I don't think Mazraoui is a wing back. He's just not physical enough, and it's quite a limitation.
Much better in the 3, isn't he?
Much better. He's a beautifully intelligent footballer, so I don't want to dump on him, but it's just not. That's not his role, right? So
he was good again tonight. He was.
Yeah. I think he's very good there. I mean, he's been a great signing when he's not playing at wing back. The other options to Dalot, there aren't any really. I mean, Toby Collier, you mentioned, he has played in that role before at age group level. Like, he's played a fullback a couple of times. He's played on the right side of midfield a couple of times. He's definitely got the energy and the physicality to do it. Probably got the intelligence as well. At home, maybe it's an option. I don't think it'll happen. Up front, there just are no options. Short of, like trying something radical, like, as you say, false nine. I just don't like Xerxes' movement there. I don't think it actually, I mean, the ball sticks to him. That's the good part. Ball sticks to him, comes into his feet. He's got good touch and control and bring others into play. He doesn't make the movements as a forward that would allow the ball to be delivered to him and him get on the end of those passes, right? He just doesn't do it. But I don't know what the options are. Like, Cheeto can't play in Europe. He's 17. He's played, 12 under-18s games for United so far? He's barely played any football, let alone senior football. I mean, it's such an unfair lift and ask him to do that and to start scoring goals. But, I mean, the kid scores goals, lots of them. So, and it can't be any worse, right?
We got a free hit now.
Yeah, it's true. It is a free hit because Rasmus has gone 21 games without scoring a goal now, right? It can't be worse than that. I floated the idea on their tactics pod of playing Garnacho through the middle just because he's a willing runner. I was met with an absolute wall of silence from Darnish and Daniel on floating that idea. I mean, I guess he's a pretty bad finisher.
If you had Xerxes as the actual false nine, though, you could have Garnacho slightly narrow.
Slightly narrow, running off him.
But it's like Amorim knows that Garnacho isn't as good in the inside channel, so he automatically just says stay wide. It was a bit different tonight because he was on the right. I feel like he did drift in a bit, but when he's on the left, I think Amorim consigns himself to the fact that Garnacho will stay high, wide, and left. And even Dorgu drifts inside sometimes, doesn't he, to account for that?
Yeah. Well, I thought that was what the switch happened tonight. So Garnacho can stay wide. Diogo Dalot likes drifting into those inverted spaces. Not that he's particularly good there, but it gave us a nice balance on the other side where Dorgu could be the overlapping wide player and Xerxes could be the linking player. So, is it perfect? No. It was something.
Is it?
He's trying.
Argo. As the film Argo, there are only bad options. But it's not even that now. It's like there are no options. It's worse than that.
Man. Deary me. All right.
We're a couple of injuries away from literally being an under-18s team. It's crazy.
Look at the bench tonight, man. Arsenal on Sunday. Then
brilliant.
2 youth keepers on the bench. Super stuff. Yeah, even our reserve keeper has managed to get himself injured. Top stuff. Altai. We have Arsenal at Old Trafford on Sunday.
Yep. Again, you do feel like United will give them a game because of this thing of United playing to the level of their opponent. And that game against Arsenal in the Cup was a perfect example of that. They scrapped it out because they could, because they found a way. And there is that element of desire if this team digs deep enough. It's just, does it have the capacity to keep doing so and leaning so heavily on Bruno, basically coming up with something on the break or a worldie of a pass or something like that. And the back three being as good as they can be, because I think the defensive organisation and structure is getting better. That is the one thing that's getting better quicker than anything else in Amorim's system. Those three. And Arsenal have just smashed 7 past PSV. I was going to make the point before they did that they're not particularly strong finishing side, especially with their injuries. But that one's gone out the window. They could be full of confidence and brimming with goals probably. Well,
they just chucked a couple of kids into the team who started scoring goals. Awesome stuff.
And they're good kids as well. They're good players, like
good players.
And
Well, given the pipeline from Arsenal's youth team to Manchester United, maybe they fancy coming our way. I don't know.
Maybe Aiden Heaven can give his teammates a few tips about how to stop them. I guess he's another one who might be playing very soon if Maguire's out for a bit. And
I thought he did all right at the weekend, Aiden Heaven, when he came on against Fulham. So, look, there aren't too many options for United at the weekend. What do we know of the injury situation to Maguire and Ugarte? I mean, how long are they out for?
I got the feeling that they were sort of knocks and
sounded like
could potentially be back available. I don't know if that was the club trying to play it down a little bit.
We could really do with Ugarte at the weekend. So.
Ugarte, I think in general, if you are going to play Bruno deep, you need the energy of Ugarte around him.
Yeah.
Like you said, Casemiro did have a decent game tonight, but you don't want him against Odegaard and Rice and that Arsenal midfield. You just know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
He can't really play 90 minutes on Thursday at that level and then continue to play at such a high level for another 90 minutes. I just can't see it happening on recent Casemiro evidence.
I mean, on any evidence
of the last 18 months of Casemiro.
Yeah, I don't think you can. There's just no correlation between his performance tonight against Sociedad and what he'll be able to do against a very dynamic Arsenal midfield. I can't see it. I think it would be a big problem for United. I wonder. I mean, what he tried at the weekend was basically a 3-5-2, right? It looked a little bit of a different structure where he tried to pull Eriksen back into more of a midfield spot. I mean, Eriksen doesn't have the legs to move between midfield and the forward positions. That's why it ends up looking like a 3-5-2 or 5-3-2 a lot of the time. It'd be interesting to see if Ugarte is not fit for the Arsenal game, whether they do something similar. Because I just don't think you can go into that game with the midfield two of Bruno and Casemiro and expect not to get caught on the transition.
No, I know, and it's about what he does when people go off as well, because the lack of options from the bench is becoming a real problem, and I think that was a little bit of a problem tonight. They seemed energised by their substitutes.
Yeah,
obviously the goal as well. But is it Becker and Oscar? I know Oscarson missed a couple of good chances, but he was getting in position, and Becker, who came onto the wing, was that sort of injection of energy that United just didn't have. You know, they had Lindelof and Eriksen coming off the bench. Neither have legs in any way. And he took off Garnacho. Maybe his race was run a little bit. Maybe he was tired, but just no legs at the end of the game. Collier was the only one running, wasn't he, in the sort of last 5 or 10 minutes?
Well, that's another option for the weekend game. And depending on how fit Collier is, because obviously he's had a while out, he is an option.
You can't really play Collier and Bruno, I don't think.
I wouldn't play him as a 2, but if you reorganise the midfield slightly into a 3 again. So given that Amorim, I think, was thinking about it a little differently at the last weekend. Yeah, I mean, it's whatever way you look at it, it's a really tough game. I don't know how many changes he could possibly make. When Garnacho doesn't play, it does seem to make a difference to United's sort of ability to play with any kind of pace. As frustrating as he can be, and he was frustrating tonight. Another quite bad reaction, I thought, to coming off. It was a bit of huff about. I mean, it's not like he walked down the side of the pitch and into the dressing room, but
all doesn't seem well between Garnacho and Amorim, really, does it?
No, you want a word to be said. I mean, we'll see whether there's another social media post from Garnacho tonight. It's normally what we get after something like this. He's way too online.
So many of them are. And have.
I'm going to sound like an old man shouting at clouds, given that I spend 95% of my life on the internet. Like, I am way too online. I recognise this. But these kids, they are caused almost nothing but harm being on social media, reading the comments, reacting to it. It does them no good at all. Like, name me a single good thing. The club like them to be there because it's reach and presence and all of that, and I'm sure their sponsors want them to be there, and I'm sure their management teams are saying the same kind of thing. You have to build your brand, get the followers, get the sponsorships. Sure, great. From a career point of view, they're leveraging their own media platforms there, but the damage it causes, I think, it's just a real problem. So I'm like, again, old man shouting at clouds, but I don't think Fergie would have liked it.
No, you say you spend most of your life online, and they shouldn't, but you are a podcaster and they are footballers, so they should be spending more time out on training pitches, and you are allowed to podcast on the internet. That is okay.
Yeah, I spent my entire career not being a full-time podcaster, but now I'm doing the podcasting biz. I am a full-time podcaster, producer. I should probably spend even more time on social media promoting all my shit. I just honestly hate Twitter with an absolute passion. Like, it's just a horrible, toxic environment. Well, one thing I've done, actually, this is going a bit of a left turn here, but anytime I see anyone posting something with the stake betting logo on, I just block them immediately, because there's nothing good that comes out of any of that, and it's just cleaning up my timeline. It's brilliant. I miss out on some kind of stuff, but There's not a single part of my life that's been worse for that decision. Clean up your timeline. Block, 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 block. Brilliant stuff.
Yeah, deleting the Twitter app off my phone and replacing it with Blue Sky felt like a sideways move, as they might say in top level football, but it has actually improved my life slightly.
I like the community vibe on Blue Sky is much better. I haven't quite found my Manchester United community where I want to spend the game on there, but I guess maybe I should and just delete Twitter all. Because like the other thing, and again, this is a social media commentary, not a football commentary, but it's impossible to get engagement on Twitter. What you have to do is you have to do engagement farming. Like you have to tweet stuff that gets a reaction. And if you don't have a blue tick on there, you're limited in terms of the scope of the reaction you'll get, right? So, for example, when I post a new show, I will get maybe 1,000 people seeing it. Out of 70,000, in fact, my follower count has been going down. I mean, maybe people have an opinion on why that is, but it just hit a cap and then went down in the new age of Twitter. Same. And so it's impossible actually to be a content creator and promote your stuff without paying to get the reach. And I don't know whether you've seen this on your Twitter account as well, Dominic, but just weird rando, and it may be because I'm based in America these days, but weird rando right-wing people advertising their stuff there. I'm like, why am I suddenly seeing this? Like some rando who's just a commentator about nothing in my timeline.
Yes, gone the days when it was like a lovely sort of, well, not lovely. It was never lovely, but gone are the days when it was a space that you could curate yourself and have conversation about the topics that you wanted to have a conversation about. And for me, it was football, United fans, healthy debate, sometimes some strong disagreement, usually about Fred and McTominay back in the glory days. Yeah. And, carry on with your lives and it'd be absolutely fine. And then, it just changed, didn't it? And it's never coming back. I mean, my follower count has gone down and I don't tweet it. Yeah. I don't tweet really unless for work these days. I bet it's better for it.
All the social media platforms are like that, except for Blue Sky, which is there's no algorithm. And so it is presented to you neutrally, which changes the vibe considerably. I guess that's probably it for today. Arsenal at the weekend. I can't say I'm looking forward to it. I guess the best we hope for is another sort of strong, sensible defensive display with the right kind of defending. Maybe take a chance if we create one.
Lucky draw.
Yeah.
Lucky draw. Why not?
Lucky draw, yeah. Well, the magic scenario would be Chido Obi coming off the bench, 85th minute, scores the winner against his old club.
Celebrates right in front of the Arsenal fans.
Celebrates right in front of the Arsenal fans. Turns around, kisses the badge, points to his name. Thank you very much.
I think Man United's finally driven us mad, Ed, with this kind of hallucinating.
All right. Thank you very much, Dominic.
Cheers.
Thank you very much, everybody. If you want to support the show, you can find our extra shows in the Apple Podcast feed or on patreon.com/NQAT pod. If you're listening to this, we're also on YouTube if you want to see our beautiful faces. And if you're on YouTube, you can also listen to it. Thanks a lot, everyone. Bye now.
This podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.